everybody, Dan Illman, Mike Beer at the Jersey Shore, getting set for Saturday's Grade 1 Haskell Invitational right here at Monmouth Park. And coincidentally, the Haskell is the DRF race of the day for Saturday, July the 22nd. It's race number 12, $1 million for 3-year-olds. We're going 1 1/8 miles. Let's take a look at this field. Please scan or click the QR code for Race of the Day access on mobile, which includes free Formulator Pass performances, some of the best 3-year-olds in the country on display, including Kentucky Derby winner Mage.
All eyes, I guess, are supposed to be on the Derby winner in this race, right, Dan? Couldn't get it done in the Preakness in the second leg of the Triple Crown. I still think he ran pretty well in that race. A couple of very interesting new shooters on the outside, though.
One of them is the likely pace setter, according to our Timeform US pace projector. That's the 8 Arabian Night, bringing some Southern California speed for trainer Bob Baffert. This colt flawless from 2 starts, but we haven't seen him since a gate-to-wire score over sloppy going at Oaklawn in January.
Looked like that there was a chance at that point that he was maybe the best one in this crop, Dan. Unfortunately for him, he's missed an awful lot of time. His first 2 races are really, really good. Very interested to see how he comes back in a way tougher spot.
This race might set up for a stalker and a closer, and the number 1, Go Rocket Ride, fits the bill. Another one shipping in from Southern California for trainer Richard Mandela. Let's watch him win the Affirmed last time out. His first race off a 2-month break. He settled very nicely off a solid pace. He kicked on home. He's earned respectable buyer speed figures in 3 lifetime starts, and he can work out a trip in behind the leaders.
I think all those things are true, Dan. I was talking about a couple of interesting new shooters towards the outside. I guess this horse fits that bill too, though. He's run 3 times. He's been good in all of those races. That race that we just watched there, the Affirmed, he got a perfect trip in that race and got the job done. I think he's going to have to take a pretty big step forward here, but this horse has tons of upside.
The number 2, Awesome Strong, was unbeaten from 4 starts as a 2-year-old down in South Florida. He's only raced once this year, and I think you have to just look at it as nothing more than a prep, a 3-quarter allowance race where he was the only 3-year-old in the field, and there were some decent sprinters in there. The runner-up came back to earn a stakes placing at Delaware with an 86 buyer. But did he get enough out of that race to stretch all the way out and face these second off the layoff?
Probably not. I mean, it's fair enough to, maybe want to give him that race and just say that he'll take a step forward here. How much improvement does he have in him, though, Dan? He's in very tough here.
Salute the Stars is the number 3, going out for trainer Brad Cox. He's won his last 3 races, and he tried to beat himself last time out in the Pegasus. Click on the short comment in your free Formulator Pass performances. You get to see the entire race video. Salute the Stars missed the break, then was really wound up and pulling hard going into the first turn. He had about 5 lengths to make up at the 3/16, and he still ran down the Louisiana Derby winner Kings Barnes. There's some ability here. Is he emotionally and physically mature enough to handle this race?
I guess that's a valid question to ask here, Dan. I feel like you could look at his most recent race maybe 2 ways. All the things that you just said about him are correct. He didn't break great. He was a little headstrong early in that race. The flip side of that is, after that, he got a really good trip in that race because Kings Barnes was hooked up in a duel all the way around the final turn. You said this horse, you mentioned this horse had a lot of ground to make up in the final furlong. I feel like Kings Barnes got a little tired, though. It allowed this horse to run him down. He looks like he's been learning in both of his dirt starts so far. Maybe he can finally put it all together and improve here. He better.
Here's the Derby winner, Mage, up next, and he got a great pace setup, a great closer's trip in the Derby, and then just nothing went right for him the week of the Derby, and he banged his head on his stall, and he needed some stitches, and then in the Preakness, there was just no pace for him. Javier Castellano maybe could have gone a little bit more forward. Instead, he stayed off the pace, and Mage still ran on for 3rd. In this race, he gets a setup.
Yeah, they're supposed to go in front of him a little bit here. The good thing about Mage, Dan, is I don't think he needs the kind of setup that he got in the Derby to be effective. To me, he just got a bad ride last time in the Preakness. He broke fine. He could have been part of that pace. They elected to let it go. I think it blew up in their face in the stretch. I don't think he actually ran that poorly in that race. This horse is good, and he's going to be a handful in here.
Tapit Trice won the Grade 1 Bluegrass at 1 1/8 miles. Then he ran in the Derby. I'm more interested in his performance in the Belmont, where he was hung out 5 wide on the backstretch. And Louis Saez decided, you know something? This horse has stamina. I'm going to try to win it at the 4.5 furlong pole, making this big, prolonged, sweeping move. Probably a little bit too early. All in all, he punched on. He just missed second at nose.
Yeah, that's the real problem with him, Dan. Because I agree with you. He did not have an easy trip at all in the Belmont Stakes, and he actually ran really well in that race. The problem is he gets those kinds of trips because he's his own worst enemy. He doesn't really have any speed. I guess the idea so far anyway from Saez and Pletchers, he doesn't want to be behind horses, so they're always taking them wide and forcing them to make these long extended runs, and for the most part that stuff's not going to work out. This horse is pretty good though. Maybe they go in front of him here. He gets a better trip this time and he comes running. It's not impossible.
Keep an eye on the track profile at Monmouth on Saturday. Sometimes it could be very speed friendly. It might work against a horse like Tapit Trice. How great is Nate? We're going to find out on Saturday. He passed the 2-turn test last time out in sort of the first leg on the mini local road to the Haskell, that being the Long Branch. Was he too close to that fast pace last time out?
I mean, it might be a valid excuse. That pace was very solid. It's not like this horse was, the one, contesting it, but he was still close to it. He got a little tired at the end. He never looked like he was going to win, Dan. I guess all in all, he ran fine. His last 2 races, pretty good. If he runs either one of those here, he's not winning.
Steve Asmussen has several good 3-year-olds this year, and one of them is the number 7, Extra Anejo, a horse that sold for $1.35 million as a yearling, and now he's going to step up into the stakes ranks for the first time off an impressive first-level allowance win at Ellis Park.
He was very impressive winning at Ellis Park last time. I don't know what kind of field he was beating there, but he did it under confident handling. He aired on that field through the stretch. He was also really impressive winning first time out. He did not get a great trip off the layoff. On Derby weekend at Churchill Downs, he still ran well that day. There's a lot working against him here, Dan. This is a tough Haskell. He's got to stretch out for the first time. He's going to go 2 turns in this race for the first time. So all those things work against him. He might be a fair price in here, though. This horse has talent.
$1.35 million. It's peanuts, ha! The number 8 Arabian Night sold for $2.3 million last year as a 2-year-old, and he's lived up to the purchase price thus far. 2 for 2 in his short career. Gate to wire winner in this race, the Southwest. It was all the way back in January. The fact that Bob Baffert is running here off the layoff in a race that he has dominated over the years is a sign of extreme confidence. He's the speed from the outside.
Baffert loves this race. It's not really that surprising that this is where he decided to bring Arabian Night back. There's not really much that you can say about this horse's 2 races. He was just letting it out as required to win that debut. He was really impressive that day. He was also really good when they stretched him out in the Southwest over a wet track. It's unfortunate we haven't seen him since then, Dan. There's no telling how good he is.
Typical Baffert fast workouts leading up to this race. Now, before we get to our top selections, please, please, please subscribe to the Daily Racing Form YouTube channel, because if you subscribe and leave a comment on this video for the Haskell, you have a great opportunity to win one of these babies, a DRF cap. It is a beauty. That was a great throw. It was a fair catch, I thought.
Yeah, really. All right, go ahead.
This DRF hat is an absolute beauty. And again, comment, subscribe, get the hat. It's lovely. Top pick time for the Haskell. Who's it going to be?
I'm going to take Arabian Night in here, Dan. I understand everything that he has working against him here. I think there's a chance this horse is really good. I'm not way against Mage. I think he's the horse to beat in here. I'll try to beat him with Baffert.
I'm going with a crazy horse in here, and that's the Brad Cox one. Salute the Stars, the number 3. I need 10 to 1. I think there's a chance I might get it in this race. He's very immature. The way he runs in the stretch, sometimes he drifts in, sometimes he doesn't know what he's doing. I think there's some ability here. I think there's a chance this pace sits up. I think he'll outrun his odds, but he's going to have him nailed on tight, because he might have to beat 2 or 3 very good ones in the Grade 1 Haskell. Good luck.